Match of the Day is facing an unexpected World Cup controversy, and this time, it is not about VAR, tactics, red cards, or a furious manager on live television. It is about dinner. According to the report, BBC stars and production staff working on Match of the Day's World Cup coverage are unhappy after their usual takeaway orders were cut off. No more Nandos, no more Wagamamas. Instead, presenters, pundits, and production workers are being told to eat from the BBC staff canteen in Salford. And behind this small-looking food row is a much bigger story. Cost-cutting, frustration behind the scenes, and the BBC's controversial decision to keep much of its World Cup coverage in the UK rather than send a huge operation to the United States. So how did a football tournament turn into a canteen crisis? Let's break it down. The report claims Match of the Day stars and staff are up in arms after their takeaway orders were effectively given the red card by BBC bosses. Normally, according to the article, people working on Match of the Day would have food brought in from chain restaurants like Nando's or Wagamama's. But this time, during the World Cup, things are different. The BBC's coverage is based in Salford, not in the United States, and staff are reportedly being served food from the BBC canteen instead. One insider described the mood as unhappy, saying the on-screen talent and production team are fed up with being stuck in Salford and that the canteen food has not gone down well. The same insider claimed the change was part of creating a team-first atmosphere in Salford, while also helping to reduce costs. And that is where this story becomes bigger than just food. Because BBC Sport's World Cup coverage has already been under scrutiny. Director of BBC Sport Kay-Jelski made the decision to keep the broadcaster's main operation in the UK, rather than moving a much larger group to America for the tournament. His argument was simple: sending hundreds more people overseas and building a full studio setup would cost millions. For a publicly funded broadcaster, that kind of spending would have been difficult to justify. Kay-Jelski has defended the move, saying viewers at home are still getting a strong product. The BBC still has people on the ground. Pundits are still at the tournament. Alan Shearer and Danny Murphy are among those reported to be out there, along with commentators and journalists. In his view, the final broadcast does not change dramatically just because some people are sitting in Salford instead of a studio in Dallas. But inside the building, according to the report, not everyone is happy. The food issue may sound small from the outside, but in a long, high-pressure tournament, small things can become major flashpoints. World Cup coverage is intense. It runs for weeks. Staff work long hours. Presenters and production teams have to react quickly to breaking stories, dramatic matches, controversial moments, and changing schedules. So when familiar perks disappear, frustration can build quickly. And now, in Sla, we know the usual takeaway routine. The report says staff are being served canteen food, and there have been plenty of complaints. The BBC's response was brief. A source said the catering arrangements had been clearly explained to staff. That line may be official and calm, but behind the scenes, the mood described in the report sounds anything but calm. This is the moment where a takeaway row becomes a symbol of something larger. For viewers, Match of the Day is polished. The studio lights are on. The analysis is sharp. The pundits debate the big moments. The production looks smooth. But behind the screen, this report suggests there is tension. The BBC is trying to balance tournament coverage, public money, staff expectations, and production quality. Bosses say keeping the operation in Salford saves taxpayers millions. Staff, according to the report, feel stuck in the UK while the biggest football event in the world unfolds across the Atlantic. And then comes the food. No Nandos, no Wagamamas, just the canteen. That may not sound dramatic compared with a World Cup knockout game or a last-minute winner, but in television, morale matters. When staff are already frustrated about location, travel, and working conditions, even dinner can become the final spark. Kay-Jelski has insisted he is happy with the setup. He said the BBC will get some things wrong during a 6-week, high-profile tournament, but hopes it will get far more right. That is a realistic admission. But this story shows how even decisions made to save money can create pressure in unexpected places. To the public, saving millions may sound sensible. To the people working inside the production, losing familiar food arrangements may feel like another sign that the tournament experience has been scaled back. And that is why this row has caught attention. It is not just about chicken, noodles, or canteen meals. It is about what happens when a major broadcaster tries to deliver a global football spectacle while tightening costs behind the scenes. So, As the World Cup continues, the BBC will hope the focus stays on the football, the goals, the drama, the punditry, and the stories on the pitch. But inside Match of the Day, according to the report, another battle has been playing out away from the cameras, a battle over food, morale, and money. BBC bosses say the arrangements have been explained. Staff, according to insiders, are still not impressed. And with weeks of tournament coverage still demanding energy, attention, and long hours, this canteen controversy may be a small issue, but it reveals a much bigger question. Can the BBC keep costs down, keep viewers happy, and keep its own stars and staff satisfied at the same time? For now, the takeaway orders are gone. The canteen is in. And Match of the Day's latest drama is not coming from the pitch, it is coming from the dinner table.